We're back with another week of high school sports, and Steve, we have to start by thanking our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers.
Absolutely.
And also giving them a plug for something that they're doing. They do every year, and this year it is going to be on November 16th, and it's a Tip-A-Cop event at the restaurant, which is right there near the corner of 212th and 44th in Mount Lake Terrace, in a strip mall, Red Onion Burgers, and they're going to be doing a fundraiser for Shop with a Cop. Show up at the restaurant. You can have lunch or dinner and actually support the efforts of the fundraiser, and the money that's raised that day goes to their annual Shop with a Cop event, which is usually toward the end of the month in November, and they take a group of children from the Edmonds School District, there are usually about 200 of them, and they take them shopping for, at a local store where they can pick out gifts for themselves or for their family for the holidays that they normally wouldn't be able to afford. So it's a really good event for the community.
Outstanding event, and as always, we thank Sean for not only his delicious food and everything else they do there, but also for taking care of the community in the process. And definitely a worthy event, so we hope to get a lot of folks out there on November 16th.
Yep.
If you can't make it in the afternoon for lunch, come on by for dinner and check out some of the auction items. He always has great items.
Yeah, there's going to be some live and silent auction items, some cool sports-related memorabilia, things like that.
Good value, per se.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Okay, well, let's move right into cross-country, because this was state championships.
It was. Everybody was over in Pasco for all of the championships, all 6 classifications, but we really focus on 2 here for our 4 schools. We'll start off by talking about the 2A, Mount Lake Terrace. Outstanding job for them. They took 4th as a team at state this year. Alex Williams took 11th overall for the individual runners. Josh Beam took 24th, and Jaden LaFreeze took 29th. So 3 Mount Lake Terrace runners in the top 30, and again, a 4th place team finish. Not too shabby at all.
Good.
The girls, Alexandria Gilmore finished 46th overall, and Simone Davison finished 57th. So again, the Hawks, strong showing under a new head coach this year, and we congratulate them on their year. And now we're going to focus on the 3A for a minute. And when you're talking 3A cross country in the Edmonds School District, you usually start and end with the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors, and that's exactly where we're going to go. The boys team, 4th place finish as a team for the 3rd consecutive year. And we want to mention some of them by name as well. Diego Pereza, who we've talked a lot on this show about this year, 5th place as an individual finisher. Dylan Hartano finished 18th. Lucas LaCambra, 26th. And we'll throw in Grant Christian, too, since he was on our show last week. Took 52nd place. So nice job, guys. Congratulations on a solid season for you. And then we talk about the girls' team, a team that we've come to expect a lot of success from over the last few years. Going into this weekend, they had finished 2nd as a team 3 consecutive years. And I think if I recall correctly, one of those years, I think they lost out on the state championship as a team by one point.
Yeah.
So, so close. This year, they've had a lot of injuries to overcome and dealing with a lot of adversity there. And yet they're still Edmonds-Woodway. They went and took 8th place as a team. So congratulations to them. Alyssa Hershey, 21st place overall. Stephanie Robluski took 26th place. And rather than continue to go down the list, why not just talk to 3 of them here in studio and find out how their season went and how their Pasco weekend was. Here are 3 of the members from the Edmonds-Woodway girls cross-country team. The cross-country state championships took place over the weekend, and joining us right now, 3 of the participants from the always strong Edmonds-Woodway Warriors cross-country team. Alyssa Hershey, who is a senior, who took 21st overall, by the way. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
We also have Jemma Willcox, who is only a freshman and yet already participating at state. And then we have Ellie Gard, a junior, who I guess, ran your first run at state, although we're going to talk in a little bit about your race last year as an alternate, which was pretty interesting. Girls, first of all, congratulations on getting to state. That's never an easy task, especially when you run at Edmonds-Woodway, where there's so many strong runners.
Yes.
Overall, Alyssa, thoughts on the trip to Pasco this year?
It was really fun. It was definitely a big team bonding experience, which was super nice. And it was just nice to see how the team rallied, because we had a lot of adversity this season, so it was nice to really highlight our strengths of the team, even though we didn't necessarily get the results that we would have liked.
And Jemma, for you, only a freshman, is it a little overwhelming when you get on that bus or the van or whatever it might be, and you're on your way over to state? Was it something you thought about all week?
Yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming. I started to get nervous actually on the Monday this week, and then the whole week is kind of like building up to that. I had a lot of nerves, but it was really good experience, and the team was super supportive of me, which is really nice. That's a really nice atmosphere to go into.
Was it pretty much everything you expected it would be? I mean, had you pictured one thing in your mind and maybe it was another, or was it more or less what you thought?
It was pretty much what I thought, and I went and watched last year because my brother Jacob, who's a junior this year, ran last year at state. So I got to kind of like see what was going on, so I kind of knew what to expect, but it was definitely a really good experience.
And Ellie, a different course this year, correct?
Yeah.
Well, what was different about it? I mean, and more challenging?
I definitely thought it was more challenging. Last year there was a little bit more flat. You didn't do so many loops because this year they actually added it. So instead of going out and around like this lake and stuff, and like you got to see a lot more of the course, it kind of just kept you closer to the finish line. So it was a little bit like taunting, like you run past the finish line 3 times before you actually get a finish instead of just once like you did last year. So,
kind of teases you almost a little bit, like you're ready to be done, and I have to go another round.
It's a mind game.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And we kind of teased it a little bit earlier, so now I guess we should tell the story here. Ellie, you ran this race as an alternate last year,
Yes.
and I didn't know the story until right before we started rolling on the camera here. You had a pretty interesting weekend last year. We should mention the state championship races on Saturday. The alternates run on Friday, correct?
True, yep.
So you got there on Friday, but you didn't really not your fault, but you didn't get a lot of extra time to prepare last year, did you?
Yeah, it was about 5 minutes from when we pulled up at the start line that, or I guess actually pulled up at the course that I had to get to the start line, get changed, get ready for the race. So that was a interesting experience because it's kind of right out of the car, right into running, which after sitting in the car for 5 hours is not something that you want to do. Yeah.
Alyssa, you were in the car with her, correct?
I was, yes.
Were you kind of feeling her pain? You were running the next day, so you had a little time to get ready.
We were definitely stressing out for her. We were all a little nervous trying to, stretch in the car and try and get her motivated and ready to race, but it was an interesting experience for sure.
I can, and much better this year when you actually get over there a day early and then you get to run, right?
Yeah, it was definitely more fun, a little bit more relaxing. It was a lot more fun because you got to bond with the team a little more, like, over your nerves or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Well, let's kind of go through individually here and talk about your performances this weekend and how you felt. I know it's not always an easy race. There is the travel, and then nerves always come into play here, and you're with so many other great athletes. Alyssa, 21st overall, it's pretty darn good. And first of all, before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and just do this right now. Why not? Alyssa, for her effort this week and finishing 21st in state, big deal. She is our Action Jackson Plumbing Female Player of the Week. So we're going to give you a T-shirt for your efforts.
Thank you.
I know you didn't get that podium you wanted in the top 16, but you get a shirt, so
Thank you.
That's all right. Tell me about your race a little bit.
It was a good race. It was definitely a good effort, and I ended up running next to a lot of people that I've ran against in bigger meets, so that was nice. I sort of knew who I was running by, and that really helped too. And the coaches at that point, like we know the Snohomish coach really well from our cross country camp, and my dad works at Shorewood, and I hear the Shorewood coaches, and then their girls are with me, and so they're all cheering for all of us, which is really nice. But it was a hard course. It was really hilly, and so we all went out really fast, and then the entire race went out fast, and then everyone just kind of slowed down, and there were random surges, and it was kind of hectic. No one really knew the course really well, so everyone was kind of doing their own thing. There wasn't really any sort of there wasn't really a strategy from anyone because no one knew what to expect. But it was a good race, and it was on a hard course, which was nice.
In a situation like that where it's a new course this year, did you get a chance to walk the course or at least maybe jog it a little bit the day before?
Yeah, we jogged it the day before, which was helpful, except it always feels different when you race because the hills, you never know where your legs are going to be hurting or where, mentally you're just going to want to be done. And so we definitely we said we had a couple key points that we were wanting to think about during the race that maybe didn't really end up being quite as pivotal moments as I thought they would be, and then some places where I felt like we could have reacted better if we had known what was coming. So,
and we should point out too, 68th place last year for you, so an improvement of 47 spots. It's pretty darn impressive.
Thank you.
Jemma's shaking her head; she's impressed with that. Yeah, and we noted too, like you said, tougher course. You only shaved 18 seconds off your time from last year, and you had 47 points. So definitely a slower course for everybody this year.
For sure.
And Jemma, for you, coming into a race like this as a freshman, are you looking for, when you're setting your goals for yourself, is it more about where you're going to place, or is it more about maybe what your time's going to be?
Well, I went into it hoping that I would be pretty close to my PR time. And I was actually pretty surprised because I was pretty far away from it. And I think everyone on our team ran pretty slow just because the course was so up and down and no one really knew what to expect. And so going into it, I had pretty high hopes, and coming out of it was a little bit disappointing. But looking back on it, I learned a lot from it. And I think that it was just a really good first experience and just getting to know the course and what state's like.
Maybe easier said than done, but in the moment, as a freshman running the course, are you thinking in terms of, okay, I need to make some mental notes for next year because hopefully I'm going to be doing this 3 more times? Are you keeping that in mind as you're running, or is it more of a sit back and reflect on that afterwards and then kind of figure things out?
Well, while I'm running, I'm just kind of thinking about the race and just like finishing and getting it done and getting over that next hill or that next bend. But looking back on it is definitely when I think like, okay, what can I take from that and use in the years coming?
And then for you, Ellie, we should mention too, you finished 1 second ahead of Jemma, so, but it wasn't really the plan necessarily, right? Tell me about your race and how you felt.
I was a little disappointed with how I ran. I had been like kind of injured coming into it. Like my knee had been bugging me, but it hadn't been that big of a deal. I didn't think, at least, because like it was one of those things I thought, oh, I just start running and it'll go away. But it ended up being a bigger deal than I thought it would, and then the nerves got to me, so my stomach was just kind of all tied up. So after the first mile, it did not feel good for me. Like I struggled a lot after that, so I think I just definitely slowed down a lot and just couldn't really hold it together mentally. Like that was really tough for me this year. So.
And more so than other sports that we tend to cover, injuries, when you get one in one of your legs when you're out as a cross country runner, psychologically it's big too. But really, I mean, trying to overcome that, it's not always an easy thing, is it?
Yeah,
I mean, and sometimes it's lingering, and you deal with that over time, right?
It'll be nice though, because I think after this, our coach just told us that we have 2 weeks off to kind of just like recover, like get our legs back. So that'll be nice to be able to rest it a little bit.
And the team overall finished in 8th place this year. I know for most teams, I think 8th place at state would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Edmonds-Woodway, a team that has taken 2nd place 3 consecutive years. We talked to the boys last week. We had 3 of the guy runners in here, and they kind of talked about how they thought it was going to be maybe a less stressful run for the girls this year because maybe the expectations weren't as high. Alyssa, for you, did that change things at all? I mean, did it maybe make it a little bit easier knowing that, hey, my time isn't going to necessarily be the difference between a state championship and not? Or do you still feel that pressure as a team player?
I think the pressure is definitely still there because we were running for the team. We wrote it on our arms beforehand. We were just trying to we were trying to stay close together and get as few points as possible. We really wanted to see if we could make that podium. But there is so much adversity this season with injuries and stuff, and then there's also we had personal goals that we wanted to achieve too. So there's definitely more pressure there in the fact that a lot of us haven't ever been a top runner before. Stephanie was the only one who was has had a huge amount of success in the past in cross country, and Olivia, but she didn't get to race, so that was hard because we didn't really know what it felt like to try and, be number 1 or number 2 on a team and then try and lead your team as opposed to try and bring up the back end. So that was hard for sure.
And yeah, you mentioned Stephanie Robluski, who took 5th last year and 26th this year, so I know she's been struggling with some things.
Yeah.
Olivia Meadowdale, who we've really yet to see run this year, other than a district meet, who's been injured for a while now.
Yeah.
And then Ellie, I understand one of the other top runners wasn't able to make it too.
Yeah.
Tell me about her a little bit and what that's been like.
Yeah, that's actually my twin sister, Sophie. She got injured, like, it was the very first race this year. She came up to the coach, like, 10 minutes before the race, and she's like, my foot is really just hurting me really bad right now. And he's like, okay, we're not going to run you. I want you to be able to run the rest of the season. And then so we went and checked it out and discovered she actually had a stress fracture in her foot. So that's kind of taken her out for this entire season, and I know that's been really disappointing for her.
And what's it been like for you? I mean, obviously the two of you running together for so long, and I'm guessing you're probably fairly close. Is it kind of tough knowing that you're out there and she's not?
Well, actually, it's I've always been the slower one, so it's always been me kind of chasing her times. Like last year, she ran in the state meet, I ran in the alternates race. Like she's been up there. I think she got 2nd in like the middle school mile championships, and like I could barely run a mile. So like she's always kind of been like that far ahead of me, and it's been cool to watch her run. And it's kind of weird this year not being able to like see her like up there. Like she would probably be on the podium ahead of me in like the smaller meets or whatever, and that was just kind of weird not having her up there with us.
Well, as a twin and as somebody who maybe, like you said, she kind of excels in this sport maybe a little more so than you've been able to do so far, is that a source of frustration for you? I mean, are you encouraging with one another? Tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
Well, it's kind of just me. For me, it's me always trying to chase her times, always trying to get up there with her. I've actually been a little bit more successful in like the shorter distances, like 400, 800. Well, mostly because she hasn't been able to run the 800. She was injured last track season too, because of an Achilles problem. So and the 800 became like my thing last year. But I've always been like a little, just like that much better than her in like the shorter distance. So that's been kind of encouraging for me to know that like she's just like this I would say really good at the longer distance, and being able to like beat her in the like shorter distances has kind of been fun for me.
Right. And then Jemma, for you, it's kind of a family affair also, right? Older brother Jacob out there running. What's it been like for the two of you to participate with one another?
Well, he's really supportive of me, and he's been really helpful, and he was actually the one who told me this summer, oh, you should start coming to practice in the summer and like get to know the team before the official start of cross country. And I was really nervous to do that because I wasn't sure like how accepting everyone would be of me just kind of coming in the middle of summer, and a lot of them are like 2 or 3 years older. But he like helped introduce me to everyone, and I already knew these two a little bit, and Sophie and Steph. And they were all super inclusive, and it's just nice to have him there because he can drive me places, and he actually broke his toe earlier in the season. So he was out for a little bit, and I know that was a really big struggle for him, seeing me be able to run at the practices while he was out, and he's struggled to keep up with the other boys this season, and he expected more of himself, and so that was difficult for him, but he's kind of gotten back into it now, and his toe's healed up, so yeah, he's expecting more in the track season, and it's really nice just to have like that older person there looking out for me.
And we had the entire family and probably at state, I would imagine, right? Was it a pretty big group then over there supporting everybody?
Yeah, and that's also really nice because you have not only the team like watching you, but also my younger brother and my parents were there, and so it was nice to have that supportive atmosphere.
Very cool. And I have to laugh a little bit because Alyssa, we just heard Jemma say that she wasn't sure how accepting everybody was going to be with her showing up in the summer, and yet you told me right before the cameras were going that when she was at middle school last year, you were going to make sure she was running this year, weren't you? You knew of her.
Oh yes, we were so excited to have Jemma on the team. We were talking about it all the time. We knew how great Jacob is, just such a great person. We knew that Jemma would be a great person too, and we were just super excited to have her as a teammate, and we were as an athlete as well. And just we knew she was going to do big things and be a huge part of the team, so we were really excited.
So far, so good. Mm-hmm. So who are some of the other runners we haven't talked about yet? Who on the team do we need to make note of? Because again, this is a team that seems to finish in the top 10 just about every year, and it's not just the three of you or Stephanie or Olivia.
Yeah.
Who else are we looking at?
Our number 6 this year was Presley, and Presley's kind of a story. She's just kind of special. She's been a consistent runner all 4 years. She's super consistent, but this year was her first time in the official state race, and she ran super well. And Presley, there's a lot of shuffling of our back half of our varsity squad this year with injuries and people trying to come in and get a time, and then we didn't know who was running the varsity and who would be running the JV, who would be leading the JV, and so that was hard. But so Presley, and then Erin Francisco is actually a track runner who decided to come out. She's a 300 hurdler, and she came out this year for cross country with the mindset at the beginning of the season that she was never going to race, and ended up racing at every single meet, including being an alternate this weekend. So that was just, they're super great, and they're super supportive, and they've and Eva as well.
And Kaitlyn.
You've already mentioned her. Yeah, Eva's a sophomore, another alternate we had a little bit of a controversy during the state weekend, and it was her first ever cross country season, and she had bronchitis most of the track season this season cross country, and she only raced like twice, and it was just
not controversy
crazy.
For controversy over like her number and like the legality of her running.
Yes.
So
a little clerical error, which wasn't her fault, right? In terms of putting her on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So she wasn't able to run which she qualified for, which is a little disheartening. But again, she's a sophomore, so that's she's got a couple more years left still too.
And then there's Kaitlyn Rust, who actually ran a like really nice, really good race.
She great race.
Yeah, she's probably one of the ones on our team who actually ran really well yesterday. So.
another 4-year veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't at least make a comment about it. The boys took fourth as a
Yes.
team,
Yes.
kind of a big deal. So
Yes.
how did they fare over at Pasco? How did they feel?
Well, I think they were also a little disappointed because they were in contention with the other 3 teams up there for the state title. Because when we had like mapped all the scores out and everything, they were within a couple points of the team who won, Kamayakin, and then Arlington, who they like always battle with because Arlington is pretty much in all of their meets. And then North Central came out of nowhere and ended up taking second, I think. So I think that was a little bit frustrating for them because none of them had like coming through and seeing their times just not the same as what they usually would see was a little disappointing for them.
And Diego, 5th place.
Yes.
Nicely done for him.
So exciting.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to ask about the pumpkin too before we go off the air here. What's that all about, Alyssa?
So we have this tradition at Edmonds-Woodway. Towards the postseason, we get a big pumpkin, and we write Edmonds-Woodway cross country on, and everyone signs it, and we bring it up on podiums with us and stuff. And then it was missing after the district meet, and we didn't really know where it was. And then we saw this picture on Instagram, and it was the picture of our pumpkin on some random team's bus. And we were like, what is going on? So then we ended up connecting with this team. We didn't know who it was at the time. And then they sent one of their little brothers, a middle schooler named Luke, to try and give us a decoy. They're like, this is not our pumpkin. So then we heard them, and we kind of chased them, and we got the pumpkin back, and it was
cracked.
Yeah, it was cracked. It had been dropped in the dash away from us, and so it ended up being the Lake Stevens girls team, and we like to call ourselves best friends online. And so we sort of, as a retaliation, Ellie's parents brought over little baby pumpkins to the state meet, and during their race, when their tent was empty, we wrote Edmonds-Woodway cross country on them and threw them into their tent, and then they...
Because Lake Stevens is a 4A school, you're 3A, so they're running at a different time than you. Okay,
so they're at a lot of our meets because they're a Wesco team, but we never raced against them and did the bigger meets, so it was fun. That's a fun little way to... It was lightheartening.
So your actual pumpkin, was it showing up on Lake Stevens Cross Country's Instagram page?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a friendly rivalry. It gets a little fun
sure.
with it. So very cool. So, and we should also mention too, all 3 of you getting ready for track then? Is that the plan?
Yep. Yes.
So, and Ellie, you kind of touched on it earlier, but a couple weeks off to rest up the body, and then are we going to get right back at it? Or
Yeah, training starts up pretty soon. We're going to get back to workouts and stuff over the off season, so... It's a lot of fun because it's a lot less stressful. You don't have any like big meets that you have to go to, and it's a lot of nice team bonding and stuff. So
Sure.
Yeah.
And Jemma, for you as a freshman, I've got to think adjusting to a new school, coming in as an underclassman like that, and all of a sudden you have to combine school with athletics. Now you get a little break from that, so that's got to be a little bit of an easier time, right?
Yeah, that'll be nice, and I'll get to connect more with the team and see everyone. I'm really looking forward to it.
I can imagine. And then Alyssa, for you, final question. The only senior here right now, so what does the future hold for you after the school year's over?
The future definitely holds running. If that's competitively or not, we'll see. But hopefully we'll end up making a team and then running for the next 4 years. But I think it definitely, what it holds, what I'm sure of right now, is that I'm not going to lose my spot with this team. And so that's what I'm really excited for, is we still talk to our old teammates all the time, and they've never left. They're still a part of the team. So I'm really excited to see to look back and see how they perform and see how everyone grows in the next year.
So it's overall a successful year. I know injury riddled, so maybe not quite the results you were having for as a team, but Coach Bonnie does it one more time, right?
Yes.
As he usually does, and gets together a great team. And again, 8th place as a team at state, and all 3 of you, congratulations on a successful year.
Thank you.
Hoping to hear more from these 3 as well as their teammates during the track season come springtime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad they figured out what happened to the pumpkin.
Yeah, heaven forbid we don't know what happened there, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of fun, though. Obviously,
It is fun.
Especially when you can kind of loosen the mood a little bit when you're in a stress environment like that. And 2 teams that don't have to necessarily compete head-to-head against one another. And a Lake Stevens team that's always outstanding.
Yeah.
One of their girls, Taylor Rowe, finished 3rd over there at state. So the fact that those 2 teams could have add a little excitement to the moment, hey, why not?
And the truth is that that's what high school sports
It
really should be
should
about.
be, right?
The fun. You know, everybody has different performances where you have good days and bad days, but you need to have fun, or why would you do it?
Yeah, whether it's going out and running or hiding pumpkins from one another, why
that's
not?
right. Okay, very good. All right, well, we have a successful soccer season continuing for Edmonds-Woodway.
We do, and we weren't sure if it was going to continue. It was a little bit scary there for a while. Edmonds-Woodway, the girls team who finished 1st in the Wesco Conference this season, lost their semifinal game. A little bit of a surprise. They dropped a 2-1 decision to Shorewood, which meant that they had to hop on over into the consolation bracket to qualify for state. And they had one match to do it, lose and you're out, win and move on. They took care of business. They defeated Arlington 4-0 on Thursday. That's 4-0 for those of you who aren't soccer fans. 4-0 on Thursday, running their record to 16 wins and 3 losses on the season. Stephanie Martineau Crew, 3 goals. So she had the hat trick. And then Sydney Scott also put in a late goal. So congratulations to them. Now they play Lakeside coming up this week. We're still awaiting times and dates. We think it might even be a Monday match, but we haven't seen that officially yet. And that's a loser-out game right there. So you're in the round of 16 right now. No double elimination at state for soccer. So defeat Lakeside. We think it's Lakeside. We haven't even confirmed that yet. Defeat Lakeside, you advance into the quarterfinals, and you would have another match later on this week. And if you do that, you move into the semifinals next week. So we're hoping 7 days from now we're sitting at this table talking about an Edmonds-Woodway team that's in the Final Four. But first, they've got to get through 2 more matches. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, good luck to the Warriors for that. And are we moving into volleyball?
Volleyball, their district tournament is coming up this week. There were a couple of play-in games to get to the final 8 teams. Linwood was one of those teams that had to go through a play-in match, and they did all right. They had defeated Shorecrest 3-0, 3-0, which means that the Royals qualified for districts for the 6th consecutive season. And then there's the Meadowdale Mavericks, a team that we weren't too sure about coming into the year. Only 4 wins all of last season. Started off this year with 1 win and 4 losses, and we thought, okay, here it goes again. And then all of a sudden they seem to have kind of found their game and found themselves and finished the season with 8 wins and 2 losses over the last 10 matches. Good enough to qualify for 6th in district and ended up being our highest finishing team in the Edmonds School District. So it was finally time to bring a few of the Maverick players in here to talk about the season as well as the upcoming district tournament, which starts on Tuesday. Here are a trio of Mavericks talking Meadowdale volleyball. The district volleyball playoffs start this week, and joining us right now, 3 of the members from the Meadowdale Mavericks team. They've clinched a spot in the districts. They're ready to go. We have with us Sabrina Jahed, who is a junior. And we also have Kelsey Cummins, who's a senior, and Kaitlyn Robinson, another senior. We should mention the only 2 seniors on the entire team, too, so it's a young squad. And ladies, first of all, congratulations on a great season so far.
Thank you.
It's an interesting team. You guys were 4-10 last year, so not a great year, a young team at that even. And then you started off this year 1-4. And then, Kaitlyn, it started to kind of turn around midway through the season, and you won 8 of your last 10 matches. Was this something you saw coming, or not a big surprise?
Yeah, well, our goal was always to get to districts, and we did have a hard schedule kind of at the beginning of the game, but we knew, okay, we played well against these teams. Let's push that through the rest of the season. And
Kelsey, when you're playing against teams like that, you're taking losses, but they were competitive losses at that. Did you feel the team was kind of getting better and progressing as the season went forward there?
Yeah, I thought we started really strong because we were playing teams that were like at the top of the schedule. And so just playing them at the beginning and starting that way, and then we were able to continue on with that.
And Sabrina, you're one of the younger players on the team, or younger compared to the 2 seniors here, so a little less experience. When you saw the schedule when it came out, did you know, or did you have a feel that, hey, we're kind of top-heavy this year on our schedule, this is going to be an interesting start if we can kind of navigate through it?
Yeah, at the beginning I saw like all the like higher up teams and I was like, okay, so this is gonna be a battle, but I knew that after we got through that we'd have more experience and then we'd play the other teams better.
And it seems to have worked out. They had an outstanding run at the end of the year. What has been the biggest turnaround on this team this year from when we look back on last year? Kelsey, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think our mentality has changed a lot this year because last year we kind of came in thinking we were a younger team, and so saying like, oh, it's okay if we just are learning this year, but this year we came in knowing we were older and more experienced, and so we came in knowing we could do better.
And you had senior night the other night. Not a bad way to go out. Arlington, a team that I think most of the season everybody kind of kept talking about Wesco 3A being the big 4. It was Snohomish, Stanwood, Oak Harbor, and Arlington. You knocked off Arlington in the final game of the year. Kaitlyn, that's going to be kind of a nice special way to end your senior season on senior night.
Yeah, it was a great night. We played hard. We were very consistent, and we worked together very well and felt like the team really came together for that game.
Now, I know it was 3-2. I don't have the breakdown in front of me. Sabrina, was it a close match all the way through? Did it feel like it, or?
I feel like we were just like working hard throughout the whole thing, so it was just kind of like one whole thing. Like everything we did got to the final point, and it was really good.
What was it, a close fit set?
Wasn't it?
No, it was, yeah.
Pulled away. I like it. Well, and Kelsey, for you, I mean, it's got to be a nice momentum builder going into the playoffs too, right?
Yeah, it was really great to finish on that. Just because then we have the confidence to like go into the next one and play Oak Harbor too.
And for senior night, when there's only 2 seniors, does that mean you get showered with a lot of love and attention that night? I mean, it's not like you're sharing it with 8 or 9 other people, right? So what was that like? What was it like for both of you? Did they do anything special for you? Or?
Yeah, they do posters every year for the seniors, and so they made posters for both of us, and then we got like a gift basket from the team, so everybody was able to give a little something to us, which is really cool.
Excellent. And now we're going into the districts. We just mentioned Oak Harbor a minute ago, a team that you started your season with. You played them the first match of the year. You only lost 3 sets to 2, so it was a close match. Kaitlyn, what are we expecting on Tuesday night up in Oak Harbor?
Well, we're expecting ourselves to play hard and be competitive. We're going to try and pull out that win, and we're confident we can do so.
And Sabrina, they didn't exactly give you a match right down the street either. Is it a little more? I mean, what is it like having to travel that far on a school night at that? I mean, 6 o'clock start, so you get out a little bit earlier. But you got to think, is it a little bit more? You feel the anticipation kind of building up a little more on the bus because it's a longer trip, or?
A little bit. I mean, the first time we went, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, this is the last time during our high school experience that we're going to be traveling there. And then, like, when we got into districts, we're like, oh my gosh, wait, it's not. I was wrong. Never mind.
Kelsey, for you, I mean, if you had a chance to play a little bit closer to home, obviously more family members being able to get out there, more students being able to support. I'm guessing a lot of the students probably aren't going to be able to make that trip up there.
Yeah,
Does that kind of change the atmosphere of the game, and does it just mean you have to kind of draw from within a little bit more?
Yeah, I think like as a team we can pull together more because then it's just going to be us, so there's not going to be a huge fan section or anything, so that can also help though, just make us focus on our game and just focus in the moment. So. And
just overall thoughts on this tournament. We kind of mentioned that some of the top teams are really strong this year, Stanwood and Snohomish and Arlington. We got to put yourselves in the equation too. What kind of a tournament do we think this is going to be, just generally speaking?
Gonna be a toughie.
Yeah. It's not. Let's go 3A is pretty difficult. I mean, it's not easy, right?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a stronger league, I think, this year too. So
it'll be interesting to see. And we should point out it's a double elimination tournament. So even if you drop a match in Oak Harbor, which we're hoping they won't, you're still not out of it by any means. Let's go around the table here and talk about one another and find out what kind of players we have here. Sabrina, I'm going to start with you. Tell me a little bit about Kelsey to your right here and what kind of a player and what kind of a teammate she is.
I think Kelsey just overall amazing, outstanding. Like whether she's in the front row hitting and blocking or whether she's in the back row defending, she's always there. Her hustle's 110%. It's just really amazing. And she's a really good teammate overall.
Not bad, Kelsey. It sounds good.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Kaitlyn.
I love watching Kaitlyn play. She has such like an energy and like brings so much like positive energy to the team and like encourages everybody, and she's a super smart player, so she'll like know where to place shots or where to block or what's going on in the game. So.
And then Kaitlyn, how about Sabrina?
Man, Sabrina. Love Sabrina. She's always bringing the energy. She has, I mean, someone gets a kill and she's yelling, she's screaming, and her defense is amazing. She's flying for balls in the back row. And she's also, she gets in those holes. Like if we put up a block and there's a hole in that block, she's there in that hole. And she's just a really consistent player.
Thank you.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier on in the interview, but it is kind of surprising when you look at a roster like this for a team that's had this much success. You're the only 2 seniors on the entire squad. I'm not going to put Sabrina on the spot with this question, so maybe I'll ask the 2 seniors. You've got a lot of, we hope you've got a lot of volleyball to play still this season, but when you start to look towards 2019, what kind of a team will they be next year?
I think going into next year, they're going to be really strong because there's a really big junior class this year. So they've had the experience, and especially like there's been a group of them that have been on since sophomore year on varsity, and so they've had like 2 years of experience, and so going into the third, since they're only going to be missing 2 people, it'll still be like a really big group of the same team, and so I think they'll do a great job.
So let's talk about those juniors for a minute. Sabrina, some of your other classmates from the class of 2020, who else are we watching on this team right now?
So for our hitters, there's Ashley, there's Sophie, there's, who am I forgetting?
We got the roster right here to help you.
There's Marin, there's Eloise. Oh yes, Eloise. She's Eloise's really good blocking. Her vertical is so high. And Sophie, I feel like she really progressed over the course of the season. Like at the beginning, she wasn't so sure, and now she's like very confident and she's hitting down really well. And same with Marin. And our setter, Haley, her sets have been getting better. Her hustle's been getting better. And Ashley, her hits are just always consistent. And Kimmy's really good in the back row. She's always going for balls and really good hustle.
So those are our 6 juniors. I think we covered them all pretty much there. We've got 4 sophomores on this team as well. Tell me a little bit about some of them and who they are.
Well, one of them was Ada, who is our setter, and so she started us off with setting. I think she's a really good competitor and wants the ball. She has a passion and drive to keep going and to push through. And then another one was Marin, and she's a hitter, and I love watching Marin just because she's good at placing different spots, if it's a tip or if it's hitting to a different side. And then also her serve receive passing is really good.
And Coach has been there a while. Give me a little background on Coach Machen and what she's meant to this team.
Coach Machen, I think, is our biggest supporter. She's always encouraging us, and even if we're having a tough match and things get frustrating, she's there supporting us. And she keeps us in the mindset of the game, both at games and at practice. Work hard, go hard, do everything you can, out-hustle the other side of the court.
Excellent. And as we start to reflect on the season a little more, now that the regular season's over, Sabrina, do we have a favorite moment from the year?
Ooh, I think it would definitely have to be Woodway. And after we beat them, everyone just ran onto the court and just was screaming and yelling. It was really great.
We get 3 head shakes, yes, when you ask a group of Meadowdale athletes if beating Woodway is a big moment. It usually is. What is it about that rivalry? We've had this conversation before with both schools, but Kelsey, for you, do you have a lot of friends on that team as well? Or?
Yeah, a couple that I actually played soccer with too, and then some that I've played volleyball with outside of high school season, so it's just fun playing against them because a lot of the girls on the team. So very
nice. And for the 2 seniors over here, we should ask, what does the future hold for you 2 after volleyball season's over? Kaitlyn, understand you might have your sights set on traveling a little further away from home to go to school, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at going to International Relations and Affairs, and there's a lot of really nice East Coast schools that have that as a major, and I love the collegiate feel of the East Coast schools and just kind of the history behind the East Coast. So
the history, the campuses, and everything else, the buildings, the architecture.
Yes.
Very cool. Any particular states in general, or what part of the East Coast would you like to possibly be on?
I'm looking at a lot of schools in D.C. and a couple up north of D.C., so Maine, and there's a school in Connecticut that I'm looking at. So.
And then Kelsey, what about you've got a few siblings that are down in California already, right?
Yeah, I'm basically just looking in California right now. I didn't want to go super far away from home, and so California was kind of a good in-between for me. And I was looking at California Baptist, Biola, and Azusa.
3 really good schools right there. And you've got a little time, Sabrina. You don't have to make that decision right away. Any thoughts for anybody playing volleyball in the future, or is it more of a hang up the shoes and maybe do something different? Club volleyball, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not completely sure yet. It's more, I'm kind of just focusing towards academics, but I'm not 100% sure as of right now.
They still have a little playoff action to go to. And the one other thing that I noted when I was looking at your results for the year, you seem to play more 5-set matches than just about anybody else I know.
Yep.
Does that, Kaitlyn, how does that work in terms of getting you ready for other games? It's got to be kind of draining at times, doesn't it?
It is. It's definitely draining physically. It builds up the stamina for that, but it's also a mental game to play those 5-set matches and to keep your head in the game for that long of a match. So I think playing those 5-set games, it builds up the mentality and the mental toughness to keep playing 5-set games, and you know that you can get through those games.
So it could pay dividends when we get into the tournament, perhaps.
Yes, for sure.
So again, a great season for this squad here. 8 wins and 2 losses in their final 10 matches, and just an outstanding year, and we're hoping it's not over. We'd like to see people get up to Oak Harbor if they can on Tuesday. It might be a little bit tough, but 6 p.m. start time. And then win or lose, they'll be playing again, I believe, on Thursday. And we'll be able to keep you posted on the results and where that game would be if you go to My Edmonds News or linwoodtoday.com, one of those 2. So again, Sabrina, Kelsey, Kaitlyn, thank you all for coming in, and best of luck in the district tournament.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to the Mavericks and the Royals this week on volleyball.
Yeah, 2 tough matchups coming up. Oak Harbor finishing 3rd in Wesco, a very tough Wesco, I might add. So they've got their hands full. And then Linwood getting in as that number 8 seed. They get to play top-seeded Snohomish, who is undefeated this year up at Snohomish on Tuesday. So, again, double elimination tournament, so we're hoping for the best. But it sure would be a lot easier if one, if not both of those teams could maybe pull off upsets and advance into the semifinals.
Yeah, would be great. All right, and football finally wrapped up.
We did. We had 2 football games, non-playoff games, but Week 10 games at that. We'll start off by giving a little shout-out to the Linwood Royals. It's been a rough year for various reasons, some on the field, some off. Royals finishing off their season with a game at Interlake. Close game, 14-13, but it was 1 point in the defeat column. They went for a 2-point conversion with under a minute to go after scoring a touchdown. Didn't get it. So the Royals end their season with a close one. And we obviously commend them for everything they've been through this year. I know Coach Bankhead doing a solid job of keeping the team together and a young squad that should be getting better as we go on here the next couple of years. And then the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors got a victory to close out the year on Thursday night over Jackson. Final score 33-13. Capaccio Cherry. Seems like this is becoming a broken record. We've been talking about this throughout the year. 29 carries, 251 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns for Cap. We've decided we can't give Cap more than 1 Player of the Week shirt this year. We've already given that out. So we're going to give it to a different Edmonds-Woodway Warrior. For his efforts, Ben Grimes, who had an 89-yard interception return for a touchdown and has been one of the leaders on that team this year. Ben is our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. Ben, congratulations on the interception, as well as the Warriors win. A Warriors team that got a lot better as the season progressed, dropping their first 4 games and ending up really coming down the stretch with, I think, 4 wins and 2 losses over the last 6 weeks. So congratulations to them on closing out their season strong.
Yeah, really great to see them and to see Linwood continue to persevere even though they had so much heartache in the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, really tough for them. I know going through and you don't want to see young people lose their lives and for them to have to overcome some of that. And I know the guys all mentioned they played the season for their 2 lost brothers. And it was a tough way to lose the season, but nonetheless a competitive game. And Royals will grow and get better from it.
Very good. Okay, and swimming is, I'm not going to do any swimming puns.
Diving into the championship.
Thank you.
Yeah, I threw it out there for you. Why not?
I
haven't done very much of that this year yet. So, swimming state championships coming up on Friday and Saturday this week down in Federal Way. So best of luck to all of the swimmers from all 4 of our Edmonds School District schools who will be down there.
Okay. Very good. Well, I think we've done it. We are actually going to be starting winter sports soon. Can you believe that?
The practices and tryouts, I think, have already started. It's not far off.
Yeah, so we'll be in the gym soon for basketball games and wrestling and all those other things. So have a great week and enjoy your Veterans Day weekend, which is next weekend, and we will see you soon.
Take care.